Hi everyone! In this video, I'm going to teach you about something called the discriminant of the quadratic formula. So if you remember from our last video, we had examples where you had two solutions, where you had one solution, or you had zero solutions. Because of the square rooty bit, the radical part of the quadratic formula. And that's what we're talking about today. So first of all, let's just do a quick recap. If you've got ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, then x equals negative b plus or minus square root b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And I entertained and delighted you last time by singing that to the Pop Goes the Weasel song about 1,000,000 times. Okay, but this part in here, that part inside the quadratic formula is called the discriminant. Okay, and the idea graphically is like this. You guys have seen graphing quadratics already, hopefully. If you haven't, this is essentially what quadratics look like. Quadratics have a distinctive parabola shape, something like this. Now this parabola that I've shown you has 1, 2 zeros, which means that whatever equation came up with this parabola has two solutions. But that's not the only possibility. You could have a parabola, I don't know, something like this down here. This one has no solutions. So this one has 0 solutions. This one has 2 solutions, right? You could have something up here that has 0 solutions, right? Because it's above the x-axis everywhere. Or you could have a parabola that's on your x-axis opening up like this. And if it's exactly on your x-axis, it has 1 solution. Or sure enough, it could be, like a skinny one opening down like this, right? And that one also has 1 solution. So those are all your possible shapes of quadratics, right? You can have 1 solution if it's touching your x-axis. You can have 2 solutions if it goes through your x-axis, like this, or I suppose you could have one that goes facing down like this, right? 1, 2 solutions. Or you could have one that stays above the x-axis everywhere, which means it has 0 solutions, or stays below the x-axis everywhere, which means it has 0 solutions. And the way you can tell is by the discriminant. So if b squared minus 4ac, if b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, then you have 2 solutions. If it's equal to 0, then you have 1 solution. If it's less than 0, then you have 0 solutions. Okay? And that is the discriminant. That is the discriminant of your quadratic formula. So let's go back to the last lesson, and instead of doing the full quadratic formula, let's just do our discriminant. Let's say the question wasn't what are the solutions to that equation? It's how many solutions does that equation have? In that case, all we need to do is b squared minus 4 times a times c. And our discriminant ended up being, so let's just copy our work from yesterday. This ended up being b squared is 16. This is 240. 16 plus 240 is 256. And since that's greater than 0, right, this is bigger than 0, so this means there are 2 solutions. Let's try our next example. Our discriminant, b squared minus 4ac. So b is 30. So 30 squared, not equals, 30 squared minus 4 times our a value is 9, and our c value is 25. And this is 900 minus 900, which is 0. And since this is 0, there is one solution. Okay, so this has a positive a value. So this positive a value means it's opening up. This one is some sort of situation like this. Right? It's on the x-axis somewhere, opening up. And where it is on the x-axis, we don't know from this equation, but we know that it's on the x-axis opening up, which is cool, which is why it has only one solution. Let's check this third example from yesterday. Our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So b in this case was -1, so -1 squared is 1, minus 4 times 1 times 7. And this is something positive minus something big and negative. So I mean, I don't even need to calculate this. The fact that it's negative is all that matters. And since this is negative, there are 0 solutions. No solutions at all. This is a situation we've got a positive a value. So what we have here is we've got some sort of quadratic that's opening up above the x-axis. It doesn't touch the x-axis anywhere. Okay, last one. Example 4. Let's do our discriminant one last time. Our discriminant is b squared minus 4ac. So b in this case is -6. When you square that, you get positive 36 minus 4 times 2 times 3. So this was 36 minus 24 is 12. And since that is positive, that tells us that there are 2 solutions. All right, so there you have it. That is how you use your discriminant to figure out your number of solutions in a quadratic.